I want to welcome each and every one of you. My name is Theresa Gregory. I am with the Office of Federal and State Accountability, of course, and under the um, applications team, and I am the Equitable Services Ombudsman for the state of South Carolina. So today we're going to actually discuss some things about equitable services, some stuff that you already know, but there's some things that's going to be new that each district is going to be responsible for submitting to the South Carolina Department of Education. Um, our agenda today is going to talk about equitable services as a whole, just basically giving you an overview. We're going to also be talking about the responsibilities of you as the LEA and me as the SEA for equitable services. We're covering again the consultations and then, of course, the Title I Part A equitable services basics. On our agenda, it says that what is equitable services? Everyone knows that every child in the United States should be eligible to receive services and this was established in 1965 under the Elementary Secondary Education Act. Again, we had an update for No Child Left Behind in 2002, and in 2015, it was reauthorized again, and this is known as ESSA as of today. It requires that all local education agencies and LE, which is your LEAs, that we're going to provide services to private school students according to all of the federal guidance. Now, we know that we don't want to leave any child behind, although it doesn't exist anymore. But it is a true statement that we want to make the opportunity for each child to receive a high education and fair and equitable. This is where you come in with the private schools, ensuring that these children are receiving what they need according to the non-regulatory guidance that's provided to us by the federal government. Title I programs, of course, ESSA section 1117.3a. It gives you the explanation of that the extent consists of with the number of eligible children who are enrolled in private schools and secondary schools, and the LEA should be equitable in comparison to services. And of course, it needs to be done in a timely manner. And that's equitable services is going to be consistent in timely manner is a words you're going to hear constantly throughout this presentation. Title 8, Part F, it's not on there, but this is actually a requirement with the LEAs as well. And of course, we're going to have this is for the services and benefits that are equitable to those provided to the eligible public school children and educators. All private schools are entitled to participate, and this is something that each and every one of you as an LEA need to be reaching out to do. But the private school must make sure that they are nonprofit, and it is your responsibility as the LEA to determine to have them to show you that they are a nonprofit school and hold nonprofit status. The consultation should be for Title I Part A and Title 8 Part F. Your Title 8 Part F consists of all the titles that's listed up here. Title 1 Part C, which is your education of migratory children. Title 2 Part A, supporting the effective instruction. Title 3 Part A, English language acquisition. Title 4 Part A, your student support and academic enrichment. And Title 4 Part B, which is 21st century. Title 4 Part F, Project Serve. Your responsibilities. Everyone should be familiar with what you're responsible for. You need to make sure that you're letting them know about all of their services that are available to these private schools. We need to make sure that the services are secular, neutral, and non-ideological. We need to maintain control of the funds. You should never be giving any type of funds to a private school. It all stays up under you. That includes the materials that you would purchase, equipment that is purchased. It all stays up under the control of the LEA at the district. And of course, the most important thing, maintain an ongoing communication with the private schools. This is not a one and done deal. You need to make sure that you're constantly out with your private schools, visiting them as well as you would do with your public schools to ensure that everything is going to way they are receiving the services that they should and that things are going according to plan. Um, we're going to reach out to all of your private schools in the boundaries and outside of the boundaries. Outside of the boundaries only pertain to Title I, Part A. Title F, Title 8, Part F are your other schools, other grants that you do not have to reach outside of your boundaries. So your Title II, Part A, that other list that was listed, you're not required to step outside of your boundaries. Only Title I, Part A. All right, I am your ombudsman. So these are the actual responsibilities that I have participating in the committee of practitioners. If there is a private school consortium, I'm supposed to be there. I'm actually supposed to be visiting you all as a district to ensure that things are being done the way they need to be. Contacting the private schools is one of my duties as well that I should be doing to ensure that the districts are doing what they need to do for the private schools. Um, we need to serve as the actual liaison between you two if any conflicts come up. I'm the one that's supposed to be in the middle to assist with the resolution behind it. I also have the part of assisting the sub-recipients, attending consultations, proposing appropriate policies and procedures for the adoption of, by the department for implementing, monitoring, and enforcing ESSA requirements for equitable park participation. She got another sheet up here because she's got some more responsibilities as that and seeing the part what I was talking about earlier, visiting the LEAs and the private schools as well. So as you can see, it is a lot of detail-oriented work as an ombudsman, and that I will be in picking up a little more of the duties as far as fulfilling what is required for me by the federal government. So let's talk about the consultation. I need to make sure that everyone understands, and I know those who sat in my sessions before, you know that I talk about timely and meaningful consultation. This is very important for you. It's not only fulfilling the requirements of what the government states that has to be done, but it's making sure that you are covering yourself in case any situations arise. We need to make sure when we're sitting down and having these conversations that we're actually doing, checking on the needs of the children. We want to make sure how, where, or whom the services will be provided. The size and the scope of the equitable services as well is one of the things we need to do in timely, meaningful consultation. Continuing on with this consultation, you need to make sure that the LEA will provide the services directly through a separate government agency, consortium, or entity, or through a third-party contractor. We also have the part where the schools, and a lot of schools do not do it, but they do have the opportunity to pool funds. And of course, the school by school based on the equitable services funds available to provide services in each. Excuse me. All right, we do have a complaint process. This link that's on here that you have on your slides, it will link you directly to the process that we have on our website under equitable services. We don't ever get many complaints. I've only had one since I've been doing this, and this is going on 5 years now. But they do have the right to complain about anything that they don't think is being done fairly by the district. This form basically gives them the opportunity to do what they need to do when it comes down to the complaint process. And once the complaint has been filed, the SCDE, which is us, we have 45 days to respond to the complaint. Once that complaint a decision has been made, you as the LEA will be notified, and of course you will notify the private school. There's going to be no secrets between what's going on. You'll be kept in the loop of every step that is made during this decision process. Now, once the decision has been rendered, and the private school still doesn't agree with what is going on, we still have they'll have not 30 days to respond to U.S. Department of Education. And then, of course, the U.S. Department of Education has 90 days to respond due to their appeal. Like I said, we typically don't have any. I've only had one, but it was resolved at our level, which was a good thing. Title One, Part A, Equitable Services Basics. This is basically knowing that you're understanding that the child has to reside in a Title One, a participating Title One public school area. So if you have someone outside of your geographical area, that child still can qualify, but they would have to qualify by being in a Title One public school area. Homeless children, children who are in the 2 years of participating in a Head Start program, children in local institutions and neglected or delinquent children, um, and attending a community day program. Now, the children, we know that the funds follow the child, so therefore, if they're in one of these eligible solo statuses, they can receive equitable services under Title One. Okay, excuse me. Identifying low-income students. Each one of you already have a process that you do to identify your low-income child. The same measures that the poverty is used in the count for the public schools. You can use a comparable data survey, or you can use a source that they have at the private school. It all depends on what you agree upon when it comes down to your consultation, your meet time and meeting your consultation. Um, just remember that the poverty is not a criterion for any services. Now, let's talk about the terms and some timelines for the grant. We need to make sure that during discussion of the consultation session, you need to make sure that you let them know that they can use their funds. Excuse me, they can use their funds past a year, but the LEA, USD LEA, do have the opportunity to discuss with them of having these funds spent within the year. Now, you have to talk to them and discuss with them during the consultation that what your expectations would be. If you want this private school to use their funds during that year, then we need to make sure that you communicated with them, giving them specific deadlines as far as what you want to expect them to have their funds used. You must be, if they decline any type of the money, you need to make sure that you're offering it to the Title Ones, the participating, if you have any, private schools first before you will be eligible to take it back to the district level. If you have a private school that does deny the funds under Title One, you're required to no, if they're denying them, you need to make sure that you are pulling it back and give it, well, you want to pull it back, excuse me. You will make sure if you have any participating private schools remaining, then they would need to receive the funds first. They should be eligible to take those funds first. If those that are participating decline, then those funds may be pulled back to the district level to be distributed upon the public schools. you you don't have to let them use it past that deadline, but you do if you have any participating schools left, you have to give it to them first before you can pull it back to the district. And then you don't have a problem. What you need to do is just basically get a statement from telling you as a district that they do no longer want their funds, they cannot use their funds, and they're releasing it to you. Then you can pull it back, but you just need to have it documented so they can't turn around and say, "Well, she took my money from me."
send the intent to participate form, they denied, they do not want to participate. The funds that were going to be allocated to the in-district private school can now be allocated to the out-of-district private school before I pull it back to my public schools.
No, see, it's two separate things, because if they're doing that consultation and state that they do not want the funds, you have nothing else to do. Yeah, and only time you would pull the money back, well, offer it to other schools, is when you've already established it. All three want to say, you got three private schools, all three want to participate. You have one to come back and say, I don't want the funds anymore. The other two should be the ones to get it. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. We're gonna get the title. We're gonna get the title too. Just one little bit. Any other questions about this particular step?
I know that we are supposed to make sure children outside of our district are eligible, we have to find a private school. Is there a repository in the state of South Carolina that has a list of private schools? I'm just wondering.
At this point, no.
So what is the requirement for the LEA in meeting that obligation?
That's something that the South Carolina Department of Education is going to be working on. Because state law, we don't mandate private schools. So with that being said, we're going to have to get the assistance from the LEAs so we can build our own repository for schools that's listed in whatever county, whatever district. That's coming along too in the presentation as well. But no, we do not. They have one. Order does have a list, but it's not a specific detailed list. It's a hit and miss. I've looked up the districts, and I know, comparing them to Title I applications versus what Order has out there, all the schools are not listed. So
What you said about Title I.
take that 25, bring 25 back in. 25 does not exist.
So as long as we don't know that
If you do not know, there's nothing that we can say can hold against you. Now, when it does come to the light, it is time for you to reach out and start asking those questions about them coming to consultation. Somebody else have a question?
I sent out 5 certified letters, and I only received one back. Do I need to do a follow-up with the other 4 who hasn't responded?
According to government states, yes, you do. And you can do that via email. And if they don't respond, you're good. Because you can give in that email, you do need to specifically tell them, I need this by a certain date. If they don't return it to you by that day after that deadline, you're good. It's just important that you're making every due diligence and effort that you can to ensure that these private schools receive the communication. Any other questions? All right, for your Title VIII equitable services, this is for your students that is enrolled in schools located in your area only. So Title VIII Part F is all of the Title II, Title IV, Title III, and all the others. All the other ones that was listed on that list, those are the ones that are actually required for you to reach out to, just the ones within your service area. So your boundaries of your district is all you need to be required to provide equitable service for the children. This basically just shows you how you would do your calculations, and I know every last one of y'all have this calculation already. And it's done for your Title IV as well as your Title II Part A. Unsure about Title III, but I'm pretty sure this falls up under the Title III as well. Because your Title III is actually under Zach's team. So they are the ones responsible for your Title III equitable services. All right. Again, we see this particular slide because I just showed it to you, but there is one difference on here. Your private schools, you must offer your let's rewind that. If a school denies any of the funds, you are not required to reach out to the remaining participating private schools first when it comes down to Title 8 Part F. This particular one, Title 2 Part A, Title 4 Part A, it goes back into the public, and you do a public and private schools, you have to do a recalculation, but it does not require that you reach out to the private schools first, then go back to your public schools. So that's the difference between your Title 1 Part A and your Title 8 Part F.
Only Title One has to be reoffered to
Your private schools first, your participating private schools.
Title Two.
No,
Title Four does not.
it goes back to public and private at the same time. If you have participating private schools left. If not, the whole part goes back to just the public schools.
Half on Title Two for administrative cost.
It's going to be level to your district. Because your administration fees should be including any type of private school services that you have in there. Any other questions?
Offer money. I know two particular schools, we have like 5 of them. That just does not spend money. Like I have to be honest. They get an astronomical amount of money. We're trying to redirect. I mean, we have plans in place, but like because we have to offer money, they take the money, but they don't spend the money. That's my frustration.
And you're going to have to continue to do it every single year. But my suggestion would be is that you set the deadline for them and tell them that they have to have the money spent on a specific date. If it's not, then they're going to have the full understanding that the money is going to be pulled back. But you just need to communicate it right during the time when you're doing your consultation. That is the important thing. And make sure you're putting it in writing. That's the other thing. So as long as you're telling them that you need it spent by this date, if it's not spent by the date, it's coming back, and they sign off on it, you're good. And that should eliminate your frustration.
Below the 18 months, like if it's within the school year.
You can. They have the 18 months. They can do it by law, by regulations that they have. But if you specifically give them a deadline, then you'll be okay with that as well, to spend it within that year.
What happens is they try to spend it by always out the process. That's what we're trying.
Yeah, because you need to make sure that you're setting a deadline that's going to give you adequate enough time to pull that money back, so you can redistribute it, so you won't run into the use of not using the funds. You're welcome. All right, SEA responsibility. I do have 7 new forms that you're going to be able to access. I want to remind you that all of the the documentations must be submitted within the grants application in GEMS. So all of your titles that you use private schools with, your communications, they must be submitted with every single title that you do. 1, 2, 4, 3, I'm not sure if they require theirs or not, but for all of ours, you're required to have your documentation listed, which means you need to have your letters that was sent out, that was responded to, that was not responded to, any return mail. All that documentation that you would typically put up under Title II needs to go in all of your titles at this point. And it needs to start with your 26 grants. The only form that out of these 7 forms that's going to be required to be sent back to us is going to be the affirmation of consultation. This form basically states that you've sat down and you've covered all the points that you need to cover with the participating schools only. This form only comes back if you have a participating school. It does not require you to fill it completed if there's nothing that needs to be distributed to any of your private schools. We do have the intent to participate letter, the affirmation of consultation for Titles 1 Part A, Title 2 Part A, and Title 4 Part A. This is a clickable link, so all of the forms that I'm speaking about is on this link that's actually on our website under Equitable Services. The needs assessment for equitable services, private school to parent letter, and family income letter, evaluation of equitable services, and complaint forms. I don't know how we're going to do that.
Yeah, just time. It's not.
It's embedded into the actual PowerPoint, but it's not showing.
They have access to the PowerPoint already.
It's going to go to our website. All these forms are on our website under federal Title I, and you'll see equitable services.
What's that?
All right, I'm gonna use my slides up here. Scroll down to the bottom.
Resources.
All right, if you notice this part right here where it says resources, these are all the new forms that we have. The only one that these forms are actually submitted for you all to use as a guideline. We're not saying that you specifically have to use all of these forms, but it is a guideline of what should be on the forms that you all have. So what basically you're going to do is go back and evaluate what you're currently using and mimic the information that's required on here. Your 25-26 affirmation of consultation is the main one I really want everyone to look at, because this is the one that really needs to come back to the Department of Education.
Okay.
There we go. If you notice, it does tell you do not complete the private if the private school is a non-responsive or declining services. So this form, you're going to basically scroll through and complete all of your information that's going to be required during your conversation that you're having with your private school. We have a Title I. Ooh,
Just scroll down. Scroll down.
go back up. You have a form for each title. Your Title I, which is you're going to discuss determining private school students in poverty count. How are you going to go about it? You're just going to check whatever it is that you're using and note it on the form. Pooling of equitable services. Again, you can use the private schools who have opportunity of pooling funds. They can pool funds that are, an example would be your Diocese of Charleston. If you have more than one school within your district that is a private school that belongs to the Diocese of Charleston, they actually will have the opportunity to pool their funds for the school. Granted, it's pooling up under each title, not across titles. How many do it? We don't have many states that actually do pooling. The private schools choose not to. They want to do it on an individual basis. Your equitable services agreement, your set asides, you need to explain that to them. The carryover, if there's going to be any transfers, you need to make sure that you are explaining to the private schools that they are transferring, the district is going to choose to transfer funds. We've had some miscommunications within the last year about that. If you're going to transfer funds, which I know some districts do, and it is a title and equitable services are eligible grant, You need to make sure you're communicating this with the private schools and don't just have them out there thinking they're going to get Title IV funding, and technically they're not. So if the decision has been made by the district to do the transfer of funds, please communicate it from day one. That's all we ask you to do is make sure you're being open and transparent with all of your private schools. Once you finish going through all of this information, the private school contact needs to sign, the district contact needs to sign, and there's the date. And you can notice that you have the deadline for the return of the affirmation to the district, and then of course the deadline relevant or the deadline to submit relevant data to the district. Under with us, we're required as the agency to make sure we're maintaining records, and that's the reason why everyone is going to be required to send these in a timely manner, which means right after you've done your consultation by July 1st, which is when the Title I is due. And all of that needs to be sent in to us. Excuse me. We have any questions about this form right here? Hmm? It needs to go to the Equitable Services email address, and it's equitableservices@ed.sc.gov. But it's on the form as well.
I got two questions. First of all, with Title I assume it's like Title II. The district remains the fiscal agent, so like if they want to purchase something, it still comes through us, right? Okay. I've had Title I schools say, private schools say they want to participate in Title I. So I'm getting ready to have my meeting. I want to make sure I have all my ducks in a row. Okay. What is proportionality? The percentage poverty of each Title I public school be applied to the resident private school students? How is that?
You're private. You're going to have students that are either in your districts, or if you're going to have them in your districts, outside of the districts, that's where you got to figure out where your proportion is going to be when it comes down to the students and what your proportion would be with your private school, your public schools as well. So it's kind of like a ratio. I would have to give you an example. I have to send it to you, but I will put it on the website because I do have a document that does explain your proportionality. Yeah. Okay. It's just so much on this, I couldn't get it all over. Any other questions? Scroll down to the Title II. The Title II does the exact same thing that you're having when it comes down to Title I. You just have all of this information that needs to be completed, and make sure you're discussing it during your consultation. And there was one on here for Title IV as well. Any other questions about that? We'll go back to the PowerPoint. Yes, ma'am.
Please go back to that affirmation. I'm sorry. Okay. So it's talking about transfers. We found out this year that we had a private school that wanted to participate in Title IV funds, but we, as a district, and we've historically done this, we transfer our Title IV funds into Title V. And we let them know that, and they were not happy because they could not participate in this. So with this, they wanted to participate in it. Do we still need to fill this out as it relates to Title IV, even though they can't because we transferred into Title V?
Because they won't be participating, and that's why I said it's important that you communicate with them during that first part of your consultation to let them know you're transferring funds.
Yeah, and we didn't know that that was going to be an issue until we went into the actual planning process, because we've never had them participate before, and they came back and they were very nasty to my Title IV person.
Because Title V is not an eligible grant that private schools can participate in. So if you're heads up, if you're transferring your funds to Title V, you have a school that wants Title IV, you need to let them know ahead of time that they won't be able to participate in it because the district has made the decision to transfer it to Title V.
Do in order to participate, do you just need to put that in, do I need to add that? Okay, that's fine, I can do that.
What is the deadline for Titles 2 and 4?
That's gonna be left up to when I would say July 1st, only because your Title I is always due July 1st. So if when you're meeting with them, whenever you have your meeting, that's going to be your deadline. Yeah. It can be virtual, but you need to make sure that you're getting I guess, screenshot and then, of course, a documentation or email from them to verify that they were a part of that meeting.
Usually you can get the data of the meeting sent to you.
If you're doing Zoom, you get your, yeah. All right, there's that Equitable Services email address. What time is it? Ooh. There's your Equitable Services email address that you need to send it to. It's only and this is for the affirmation. All the rest of the forms are not required that you have them in, but they are good for you to use because we do have an example of your needs assessment in there that they need to be completed. We have an evaluation form that needs to be completed because just like every other thing in the titles, your private schools need to be evaluated as well. Is this being effective? Are they using the funds the way it needs to be done? That's going to benefit the child and advance the education. So we need to make sure that you're completing this. Again, the listing of the private school forms. Here's another information that is on the actual forms that you can be used that will be used under the affirmation of the consultation. Establish the deadline and communicate it. I cannot say it enough. It is important that we make sure we're giving them the information and, of course, making sure we're establishing our deadlines and being open with them. Needs assessment, I was just speaking about that. You need to talk about the services provided that meets the needs. Writing a needs assessment should be done by a private school, just like your public schools do a needs assessment. Again, the important, establish the deadline and communicate it. Needs assessment sample forms. These are the sample forms that we have for needs assessment that's actually on the website as well. So it's for your professional development, under the plan, the technology, request, material, equipment, request form. All of these samples are out here now for you to use. I even have the private school parent letters. There's 2 versions of it, and then there's the family income that will be updated every year. We can pull the information from the USDA, and that's how we come up with the income survey that you can use. Again, these letters are examples, and we're not requiring that you use them, but it would be beneficial for you to look at them and make sure you're doing what you need to do when it comes down to the private schools. Evaluation at the beginning of the year. That is something in this corner over here. At the beginning of the year, the data will be collected to establish the need for the programs. Again, we need to make sure that we're doing what we need to do with these private schools and that everything is falling in line according to what their program. There should be something established with the private schools, their needs assessment, and we're evaluating if this is the right thing for them. Again, no copy and paste, so we need to make sure they're using the funds the way they're intended to be used, and we need to be evaluating them as the LEA. We're providing these examples, but we're not expecting them for you to use them. And there's the part about the complaints that's on there as well. And coming soon, we will have the consolidated document that I am placing together so you can make sure all of your Title I Part A, Title II Part A, Title IV Part A for equitable services will be in one spot for you. Forms, frequent asked questions, any tools you need to help you save some time. We do have some frequently asked questions, and we're short on time. Yes, I just told you that you can establish a deadline with the private school as long as you're doing it through your consultation session. Just be open and honest with them about everything that you're going to be doing and what's eligible for them. Maybe LEA reserve funds off the top for Title I allocations before to determine, of course, no. You have to determine their share of funds before any expenditures or transfers of funds can be done. If you're not transferring, you do need to make sure you're going to be, if you're going to transfer, you got to make sure that you're being open and honest with them about the transfer. But you cannot split funds off of there to get sure that the private school is going to be able to participate in a program. And then, of course, we have this is all coming from your guidance for equitable services under Title I and Title VIII Part F. All right, I know it's lunchtime, so I'm going to cut through these. You actually have them on your PowerPoint. This guidance is very important. Which one? The guidance is out there now. They were just updated last year, so please make sure they're going to be on our website. But if you don't, that link should be able to let you do. I think it'll take you straight to the USDA DE and make sure that the non got it? Okay. Make sure your guidance for Title VIII and Title I for equitable services for the non-public education is there. Our responsibility to make sure we have a timely and meaningful consultation, make sure we are meeting the SCDE deadlines when it comes down to that acknowledgement form that you're going to see that you're supposed to be sending in, and above all, I can't stress it enough, make sure we're doing due diligence when it comes down to these private schools and for the children. Any questions? There's my contact information, the Equitable Services email address that you need to use to submit your forms. And of course, anytime you have any questions about anything, please feel free to call me or email me or call me.